An alert to all those who are trying to illegally get into the United States. The US is cracking the whip. It's already closed the borders with some proviso. But more than that, even those who have come in illegally, a lot of action is being done. For example, 116 Chinese illegals have been deported back. They were put on a special plane and sent back to China. This might happen very well to India as well as to many other countries. I just want to tell all those who are being promised that they will be given a green card in Canada or in the United States. The truth is much, much farther from that. So please don't fall for these things. That's all the advice I can give you. But let us first take a look at what happened in the case of China, because there's an interesting Ecuadorian angle also to it. Here we go. So the United States deports a plane load of Chinese illegal immigrants. They had illegally entered the United States sometime in the past few years. There have been a couple of attempts by the United States to deport illegals back to China. Now, after 2018, there was one flight before that, and I'll come to that in just a moment. After 2018, this is the first time that 116 illegals have been put on a plane and sent back to China. They have had a lot of difficulties, that is the United States, because China was refusing to take back the illegals. The Chinese immigration has become a subject of intense political debate in the upcoming US presidential election. So what happened? The number is 116, but the significance is large. Why? Because see the numbers now. 56,000 illegal immigrants from China have got into the United States in just the first 6 months of 2024. In contrast, in 2023, the entire fiscal year, that is Jan to December 31st, it was only 37,000. So people have become emboldened and they are crossing in much larger numbers. It's also believed that a lot of lumpens of the society have also snuck in, which creates a national security angle also. In May, China's embassy in the US said that the country's law enforcement was cracking down hard on crimes that harm the tranquility of national border and maintained a high pressure against all kinds of smuggling organizations and offenders. So China has also promised that it will try and limit people fleeing the mainland. Asian advocacy organizations worry the rhetoric could encourage harassment of Asians while migrants claim they are escaping poverty and repression. Earlier this year, a charter flight carried a small but unknown number of deportees to the northeastern Chinese city of Shenyang, according to Thomas Cartwright, a witness at the border, an advocacy group that tracks deportation flight. But this was a Gulfstream 5 aircraft, and at the max it can carry like 14 people. So this was a very small number. Maybe it was a pilot program to make sure that the end-to-end process is working fine. We don't know, but at least the process has started. Homeland Security said they are working with China on more removal flights in the future, but did not give a timeline. Again, this all could be election rhetoric just to prove that the US has the will to deport. I think that out of the 56,000 odd that have come in the last few months, barely 200, 300 will go. I mean, this is the way it is. They'll just melt into the population. Who knows what all the other things are going to happen. If at least they can put the brakes on future illegal immigration, that itself would be a welcome step. The announcement of the large charter flight comes after Ecuador cut off a key route used by Chinese migrants to get to the Western Hemisphere. Looks like you can legally fly into Ecuador from China without a visa up until now. Ecuador was one of the 2 mainland countries in the Americas to offer visa-free entry to Chinese nationals and had become a popular starting point for Chinese migrants to then trek north to the United States. As of July 1st, Ecuador has effectively reinstated visas for Chinese nationals after the South American country said it had seen a worrying increase in irregular migration. A tenfold increase in Chinese migrants is attributed to several factors, including the economic fallout from COVID-19 lockdowns in China and migrants seeking a better future. The Trump administration may have been more aggressive in deporting Chinese migrants, as evidenced by statements from Trump and efforts to increase tariffs on countries that do not stop their citizens from entering the US illegally. The Biden administration, on the other hand, has worked with China to reduce and deter irregular migration and has focused on enforcing immigration laws while also addressing human smuggling. I think this is a bit of a wash. The reason I say that is because for the first few months, it was an open border policy. Nothing was checked. And this is 2021. When COVID fears were still there, a lot of illegals just got in. They weren't even checked if they had any proper papers of inoculation, vaccination, and what have you. Only when another, I hope it doesn't happen, pandemic hits, will you know what are all the people have as a previous record of vaccination. So these are all things that are coming into play. The truth about this whole thing is, in the 4-year term of President Trump, there was hardly any migration, leave alone illegal. Illegal was almost down to zero. Any migration into the United States. On top of that, uh, Trump had passed an order to ban entry from several Muslim nations, I think 6. They could not just come into the United States. A lot of strict measures were taken, and it is expected that the Trump administration will crack the whip again and will start deporting people by the thousands. Will they all be given chartered flights back home? I don't think so, because that's too expensive. What might end up happening was, wherever they got in to United States, they'll be taken there and they'll be dropped off. Then it becomes somebody else's problem. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.